Hey everybody. Alright, today we have a cooking class. It's a pretty simple class, but one that is actually quite delicious. At least for me. I love them. But so I've got everything that I need. I've got my PPE on, got my apron on, I've got a hat on to keep hair out of my food, and I've done my mise en place, which again means everything in its place. So everything is in its place that I need. I'm ready to go. All I gotta do is start going. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna turn on the grill here and get this going so it's nice and warm. And the temperature you want to go is like five and a half. Medium to a little bit above medium, but low and slow. That is the tempo. That's where you want to go. But then, so as this is heating, what I want to do, because I'm making grilled cheese, is I'm going to take my bread here, and I'm going to butter both sides of the bread. Because butter makes things taste better. It just does. Because butter is wonderful. Not good for you all the time, but for grilled cheese sandwiches, it's kind of necessary. So we're going to take some butter that I have here in a dish. And what we're going to do is we're going to butter both sides, like I said, of the bread. And it, in a way, it kind of coats the bread so that, it doesn't burn too fast on everything. Because you don't want to, if you just put the bread down by itself, it would burn. And we don't want to burn. So we buttered one side. Now we got to get the other side. Some more there for this one. And we're going to use more butter. But I'll show you that in a bit. Dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Butter our last piece again. And typically I'd like it to butter a lot more. But I didn't leave butter out last night to get it nice and soft. So right now we have a little bit of hard butter, but now I've got some for the next time I do this. Now here's the thing, this is more for a lunch or snack kind of thing. It's not a meal, but it's delicious. But if you did want to make it a meal, what I would suggest is you get some tomato soup like this. And you take that tomato soup and you stir it around. And then what you do is you put a little bit of cream in there, maybe some sour cream or something like that towards the end. Well, actually, no, maybe more at the beginning. Just there. I'm going to change my mind. Right in the middle. But you want to kind of thicken it up. But get it creamy, like nice and creamy. This is nice and low sodium, which is good for your heart. You don't want too much salt. And then once you have that, you get a bowl. Like any bowl that you have in your house. So you take a bowl, and down at the bottom, grate cheese. And the reason you want to grate the cheese is because it makes it easier to melt. But then you put that down in the bottom. Once the soup is done going, then you can actually pour that in. And what you use this for is like a dipping sauce for your grilled cheese sandwich. And tomato soup and grilled cheese, they go so well together. You just dip and take a bite, and oh, it's fantastic. Then you finish off the soup, and you have an entire meal there. It's not a heavy meal, which is good for you, but it's a delicious meal. Alright. Now this has gotten warm, which is good. So we're ready to head on in. Now, like I said, I'm going to use more butter. And we kind of need to use more butter. Oh, I forgot something. I didn't do my mise en place as well as I thought. I'm going to need a spatula. I'm going to set this here on the cutting board. Now what I'm going to do, bread is buttered on both sides, but my pan is not buttered. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some butter. I don't know if I need this whole stick, so I'm going to cut it in half and see how it goes. Take a little bit of butter, and we're going to put it right in the pan. And if you see, it's already starting to coat the pan. And you can just kind of swing it around there like that. And I can use my spatula to help get everything kind of hot. Oh, it's definitely going. And then what I do, not everybody does, but I put my bread in. So my bread goes down. And then I'm gonna let it do, I'm gonna let it sit. See, the bread's down. I'm gonna let it sit for a while. But I'm gonna brown it on those sides, and then I'm gonna flip it. So while it's doing this, what I do is I take my cheese. Now this is cheese that I don't usually use. I tend to like to use real cheese. This is processed cheese. But it is good American cheese, and it's the best for grilled cheese sandwiches. Because when you open it up, it does that wonderful spread of, oh, look at all that cheese. And who doesn't like that? I know I do. So we're going to open this up. Have it ready to go right there on the counter. And still my bread is, you want to check on your bread. Don't touch the pan. Touch the bread. Don't touch the pan. You don't want to burn yourself. Safety always is first. Boom, boom. Oops. Got that one a little too hard. Alright, so let's check on our bread. Because you don't want it to get black. Then carcinogens can get in there, which are cancerous, and you don't want that. So I check on my bread. Nope, still looking good. Should actually maybe turn the heat up. So now I'm going to go up to close 6. To really kind of get this whole thing going. Because once it's nice and hot, but you don't want to turn it like way up. Once you turn the temperature up, it's going to start to burn things, and we don't want that. And then I'm going to move my bread around in here, touching the bread only. I've got clean hands, just wash my hands. But you want to touch the bread only. But I want it to be nice and crispy and brown. And listen for the sounds. Yeah, I can hear that it's already heating up again, nice and fast. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off next. I'm going to set it on my plate. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put more butter in there. Because the more butter, the better for grilled cheese sandwiches, I'm telling you. Again, it helps coat the pan. I mean, this is a non-stick pan already, but that's kind of a misnomer. I've cooked with people who have like non-stick pans. They're like, oh look, it's the most amazing thing. But then things still burn on it, If it's the heat's too high, things like that, things are gonna happen. And you want butter to flavor. The flavor is the best part. All right, let's check on our bread. There we go. So we're gonna take those off. We got a little piece of bread that fell up. Not gonna waste food. I'm gonna take our last little bit of butter that we had from the last time. I'm gonna throw that back in there. And it is melting fast. You hear that sizzle? That means things are ready to go. Alright, so it's sizzling up. Sounding and looking good. Then I'm going to throw my bread on the other side. So this is the side that I just cooked it on. Now I want to do the other side. Bam. Bam. Now we got to get our cheese on there. So while the pan's still hot, you want to get your cheese on. So I do one slice on each. I'll tell you, this is why I do three. So you do one slice on each. Ooh, that's a little. Oh, there we go. And then the third one, what I do is I break it in half. And all you have to do is fold it, break it in two, and you put that on each side. There you go. Now what you want to do now, so we've got our cheese on, looking good, pan's nice and hot, one side's brown, that you've got it on. Now we want to get the other side brown, and what you do though is you wait for the cheese. What happens is with bread, the heat will get up through it because, you know, throughout everything, there's a little bit of heat that can get released through the bread. And so what you want to wait for is the cheese to melt down and stick to the bread a little bit. And then we'll put it together as a sandwich. And it's looking good right now. You know, and people use different kinds of bread. I'm using a multi-grain bread. It's healthier, but, you know, I mean, for the best grilled cheese, a lot of times you want to use white bread, like Wonder Bread. It's just like flour bread, but it's kind of soft and, you know, not as coarse. But everybody has their own bread that they like to use. Okay, now we're going to check on this. And scoot again, just touching the bread. Don't ever touch the pan, ever. Then you hurt yourself. And we don't want that. So the cheese is starting to melt down. It's going a little bit slower than I thought. So we're going to turn up the heat a little bit. I'm not going to go to high. I'm down to about 7, which is just a little bit above medium. But I don't want to burn my bread. Like I said, it doesn't taste good. But it is starting to melt down pretty good. And soon what we'll do is we'll take it and we're going to flip it. Take one side and put it on the other. And that's what we have our spatula for as well. But I think we can do it now. Well, let's see. So I've got my piece. I'm ready to flip. And there we go. It is flipped over. And it's hot. And so use your spatula to kind of bring everything together. You can use other utensils as well, but you do want it to be as close together as possible. You don't want to lose any of that cheese. But right now we got a nice golden brown on it. So here we go. Now what I do is I flip the pan around. So everything's getting nice and warm. Pop, 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 pop. I like that sound, but you don't want one side to go longer than the other. So then what we're going to do is we'll take our spatula and we'll flip it over. And then see what you have is a nice golden brown. This is maybe a little bit browner than I wanted. still edible. But I want that cheese to melt in, like all the way through. Like I said, low and slow, that is the tempo. And so I'm making this for Melanie. So when I take it out, what I'm going to do, let me put my butter away while I let the cheese melt for longer. But I do like a little bit of crunch to my sandwich. I'm done with this knife. That goes in the sink for later. And I've got this knife, which is going to slice it through. Now, some people like it diagonal, some people like it sliced right through the middle. Melanie likes through the middle. I like diagonal, but since it's the sandwiches for her, we're going to do it her way. Alright, that should be it. So there you go. You got yourself a nice grilled cheese sandwich. So we take it off. We're done with Mr. Spatula. We say thank you. Doing your job. And again, she likes it down the middle. Let me move this over. Turn the heat off. Like I said, she likes it to be cut down the middle. Like some people like it diagonal, or it's easier to show diagonal. She likes it. So there we go. Just take it, put your palm down, cut it through, and you have yourself a nice ooey gooey grilled cheese sandwich. It's good stuff. Set it on the plate, and I'll do the cleanup later. Miss y'all. Peace. Love. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.